Pizza Dude's got 30 seconds.
Welcome to Late Pizza, the pop culture podcast. I'm your host, my name is Steve-O, and today I'm talking about everyone's favorite pizza-eating foursome, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and their premiere big-screen adventure, the 1990 movie. History of the film and facts. I decided to kick off this show by covering one of my all-time favorite films, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I'm such a big fan, it's where the name of this podcast originated. There's a quote from the first Turtles movie that's always stuck with me, and I'm talking, of course, about Michelangelo informing his brother Donatello.
Wise man say forgiveness is divine, but never pay full price for late pizza.
The 1990 film was the first live-action outing for the fearsome foursome, but by this point, the TMNT were well on their way to cementing their place in pop culture history and building a legacy that will probably continue forever. The original comic was released in 1984, which eventually rolled into the first animated series in December of 1987. After the landmark success of both comic and series, the decision to jump to the big screen was a no-brainer, and with the help of a little Jim Henson magic, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles kicked its way into theaters on March 30th, 1990. The film was directed by Steve Barron, who at this point was largely known for his work in music videos, including some absolute hits of the time, like Michael Jackson's Billie Jean video and Bruce Springsteen's Summer of '69. He would follow up TMNT by directing the cult classic comedy Coneheads in 1993. The story and screenplay are credited to Todd W. Langen and Bobby Herbeck. While Herbeck turned in the original story and script treatment, Langen was brought on to do a page-one rewrite of the entire treatment, as Herbeck's work was deemed by the studio to be, quote, interesting but unworkable. Herbeck and Langen never actually worked together, and never met until the film's release. Langen was brought back to write the follow-up, Secret of the Ooze. Herbeck, however, would have a more troublesome connection with the history of the movie, eventually going on with others to sue the holders of the TMNT franchise rights in 2015 for $3 million. The writer and the rest involved in the suit alleged that the company, Fortune Star Media, had refused to pay them, with Herbeck alleging that they owed him $250,000 in back pay. The film's plot draws heavily from the earlier comic book adventures of the Turtles. The Turtles' origins, the trip out to April's family farmhouse, and the rooftop battle with the Shredder are all directly lifted from the original comic series. These original comic elements were blended with other ideas familiar to fans of the animated series, which was growing in popularity over the comic books. Ideas from the animated show, such as individualized color bandanas, the Turtles' love for pizza, Michelangelo's more comedic surfer dude attitude, and April being shifted to a reporter rather than a lab assistant, helped bring a sense of familiarity for younger audiences who hadn't been exposed to the darker and more violent comic books. When it comes to violence, the animated series had already come into trouble in its international markets, where the word ninja was deemed to have negative and violent connotations. The animated show was retitled Teenage Mutant Hero Turtles in several of these markets. There were also complaints about the weaponry and cartoon violence featured in the show. Michelangelo's weapon of choice, in particular, the nunchuck, were completely censored, edited, or outright replaced in most of these markets, with the weapon itself being considered far too violent and deadly to feature in children's programming. These same problems would bleed over into the film's production and release as well. Both the UK and German releases of the film are heavily edited to exclude shots of Mikey's nunchucks, as well as completely removing his nunchuck duel with the foot soldier. The German release would go a step further, integrating cartoonish sound effects during the more violent scenes in an attempt to lessen the seriousness for younger viewers. Most of the film's shooting and production took place in North Carolina, although there were location pickup shots for more famous New York landmarks, such as the Statue of Liberty and Times Square, to appear in the film. The animatronic puppeteered suits worn in the film were created by Jim Henson's Creature Shop out of London. Henson himself remarked at the time that the suits were the most advanced creations he had ever worked with. Overall, the creation of the suits took around 18 weeks, which is pretty remarkable given how well they've held up over time on screen. Pizza Hut headed a heavy promotional tie-in campaign leading up to the release of the film for around $20 million. This was a rather odd promotional partner for the film, considering the heavy appearance of their rival company, Domino's Pizza, throughout the runtime of the movie. The promotion paid off, however, and the movie was a major success. TMNT would go on to gross $200 million worldwide against a budget of only $13.5 million. This would make the film the highest-grossing independent movie ever at the time, and Turtlemania was officially underway. Followed by TMNT 2, The Secret of the Ooze in 1991, and a third, more maligned sequel in 1993, the original is still held in high regard by fans and general audiences, and hailed as a landmark moment for comic book-based films making the leap into the mainstream. Overall, the movie is still a great time. The suits have aged well, the performances hold up, and the fight scenes still entertain. That final rooftop battle is a thing of perfection. Just going to take a break here to ask an important question. Do you like to hear yourself talk? Ever heard a podcaster and think to yourself, I could do that? Well, have you heard of Anchor? If you haven't, let me tell you, Anchor is the easiest way to make a podcast and reach the audience that you think is waiting. Anchor is free with built-in tools that allow you to record and edit right from your phone or computer. Anchor handles distribution for you to get your podcast available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and more. You can partner with advertisers and make money from your podcast with no minimum viewership required. Anchor is everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started today. Legacy of the film. The 1990 TMNT movie spawned a mildly successful trilogy, with TMNT 2, The Secret of the Ooze, debuting in 1992. And TMNT 3 releasing in 1993, to a smaller box office return than the first two films. After the financial disappointment of the third film, the franchise was theatrically shelved for 14 years until the release of a fully CGI animated film, simply titled TMNT, in 2007. This film failed to jumpstart a new franchise, and the brothers were once again relegated to the realms of television and print until the reboot, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, in 2014, which received a sequel, TMNT Out of the Shadows, in 2016. Both of these films did relatively okay, both financially and critically, but came under criticism from fans due to the large hulking designs of the new Turtles, as well as their busy and overly designed clothes and accessories, as well as critics having problems with the goofier tone of the films and the story. The suit designs seen in the original 1990 film are still hailed as one of the best designs the brothers have ever had. Fans still yearn to see more of the practical effects and animatronic designs set in a serious TMNT film with the better technology of today to help. Rumors are constantly floating about a new live-action series or follow-up to the original film. We can only hope something pans out one day in the near future. In the world of collectibles and high-end toy lines, the TMNT have never been doing better. An exclusive line from toy-producing giant NECA, their TMNT 1990 set contains highly detailed and screen-accurate representations of the Turtles as they appeared in the film, as well as other characters. Aside from the four brothers, NECA has also released figures for Shredder, Splinter, Casey Jones, Foot Soldiers, and have upcoming releases scheduled for April O'Neil and Danny Pennington. Film trivia. Every physical actor for each of the four Turtles has a cameo in the film. Josh Pais, the actor for Raphael, can be seen as the passenger in the back of the taxicab which Raphael himself rolls across. Mike Linsisti, the Michelangelo actor, appears as the pizza delivery man who can't find the address. Leif Tilden, Donatello, plays the foot messenger in the subway scene delivering a message to April, and David Foreman, Leonardo, appears as a gang member in the Foot Warehouse headquarters during the big fight scene between Casey Jones and Tatsu. I've already previously mentioned the film's place as the highest-grossing independent film of the time, but it would hold that record until toppled by another cult classic in 1999, The Blair Witch Project. The abandoned cement factory, Ideal Cement, outside of Wilmington, North Carolina, was used as the Foot Clan's hideout. This same location appears in the Super Mario Bros. Movie and is also used as Top Dollar's nightclub set in the movie The Crow. The only turtle to be physically acted and voiced by the same person in the film was Raphael, as played and voiced by actor John Pice. Next time on Late Pizza. A heads up for the next episode of Late Pizza, I'll be diving into the Kevin Smith black and white indie classic Clerks. I'll be covering the first cut version of the film, the legacy and history of the movie, and some fun trivia, so don't miss out. That's going to be it for this first episode of Late Pizza. I hope you had a good listen. I've been your host, Steve-O. Be sure you're subscribed to the podcast so that you know your late pizza will always be on time.
And I couldn't find a place.
Wise man say forgiveness is divine, but never pay full price for late pizza.